take it out of their Bible, out of their scriptures, I should say.
And so what are your, so I mean, like this particular gentleman was saying emphatically, you know, how upset and hurtful it was for him to hear, you know, that all Mormons believed in polygamy, that they completely didn't. But you're saying, you know, get that out of the Mormon.
I wouldn't use the word all, because I don't know what all Mormons believe. I do know the Mormon Church has not removed polygamy out of their doctrine. It's still there. That's the mainline church has not, and the mainline church practices spiritual polygamy in their temples.
Well, he was explaining to me, and I, you know, of course, HBO, this is a fictitious show, but they had this on there as well. They talk about how the Mormons who are completely against polygamy, in any way, will excommunicate any Mormon that believes in polygamy. So that's why I'm saying there's really two phases.
They'll excommunicate Mormons who practice. Tell me they can't wait until polygamy is restored. In Mormon Doctrine, written by Bruce McConkie, he said when the millennium comes, Mormons will practice polygamy again. They still believe it. They just don't practice it right now. They put it on the back burner, so to speak. But they do practice spiritual polygamy in their temples. Dallin Oaks, he's one of the top quorum of the Mormon Church. He's sealed to 2 women. He's going to have 2 wives in when he dies and goes to heaven, they believe. I mean, it's a fact. They've even in secret ceremonies in the temple, they've baptized people for the dead and made Jesus into a polygamist. They believe that he's living polygamy, and they've sealed multiple women to Jesus in the temple.
For me, for someone that does, I mean, I don't even need to know about the religion of Mormon, because I have studied the Bible. Like, I really did do that. So you know, and of course I'm just one person, but I know for a fact none of this is in there.
Right.
Not in the Old Testament and not in the New. None of it. Absolutely none of it. Not in any way. So my spirit rises up against it right away, because I do know that. It's like, you know, with the Casey Anthony trial, people were telling me, you know, well, did you watch the trial? You know, sometimes you have to, maybe it's because people have, not everybody has read it. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people who have. Maybe it's just the way we perceive it, but I just know that it's not in there. It's not.
That's right. It's right. You're right. Absolutely right. It's not there. In fact, God is against polygamy. Read Leviticus chapter 18. All the sexual crimes in Leviticus 18 is practiced by polygamy groups. Almost every single, and Leviticus 18 talks about idolatry and sexual crimes, and almost all of them are practiced by polygamy groups. Marrying brother and sister, marrying mother and daughter, marrying rival wives, where a man will marry 2 women and they'll be sisters. All of that's condemned by God, prohibited. And God says, I'll vomit you out of the land if you do that.
Yeah, and it's his way of showing when they're talking about it, and you see all of the acts of it, you can see the hurt and drama and pain that is coming into the lives of those people. Then you see the response of God, and you get the message, because you understand what happened, what effects it had, and how God felt about it, and why. Yeah. That's why I studied the Word, because I wanted to understand that. And I don't, so I'm just really glad that we're able to talk about it, that you have a network where you can do it, and I do as well, and why I wanted to connect with you. And when I had talked to you the other day, you had told me a little bit about going into some of the neighborhoods, right, and leaving. I don't remember what you said. You all would leave
some of the polygamous communities, and not all polygamists live in communities, by the way. But some of them do, and we've gone into some of those communities and just left door hangers on their doors explaining some of the biblical truths that God doesn't save us by polygamy. He saves us by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. And we've left little hand Bibles, like the Gospel of John or something like that, and just explain God's love to them. That God's love is so great that He did everything through Jesus Christ, and there's nothing we need to do but believe it and accept that. And polygamy is not part of it. Just hoping to get them to understand from their own research what God's requirement is, and God's requirement is so simple.
Research, yes.
Right.
And isn't it a lot easier what you're offering to tell them is available? I mean, the life of sharing your husband and all the things that it involves and and the laws that you face and just all of the different levels of issues that brings into your life. To do that on purpose, all that is so much more complicated than just believing in the birth and death and sacrifice that Jesus made for us, and just looking into the Word and discovering for yourself that truth. That is so much easier.
Well, it is, and Jesus said when He was here that if we don't come to Him as a little child, we're not worthy of Him. And how many little children are living polygamy? I'm not talking about 12-year-olds that Warren Jeff's married. I'm talking about little children.
Right.
Little children don't, and that's what Jesus said. If you don't come to me as a little child, you're not worthy of me. So we need to just come to Him in that childlike faith. I believe you, Lord. I believe you, and that's all God wants.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's that simple. All the rest of it is, even if there was no hurt and drama with it, it would still be so much more complicated. But then you add all the drama and hurt that comes from this so much more complicated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and this is where once a person understands that and they still choose that as long as there's no abuse, then again you have to step back. But still, you feel better at that point knowing, okay, I spoke the truth. It's really
But there's very
important.
few polygamy arrangements, very, 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 very few polygamy arrangements where it is done by consenting adults with no pressure at all. None. And once those polygamy adults start having children, what do you think they're going to teach those children?
Well, actually, I have an interview that I'm going to play in another segment where we're talking about some of these very rare consenting families, and they don't speak about teaching it to their children. Some of them even feel it's kind of like me. I have 7 kids. But I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't. And I've raised my kids, not to necessarily just go and have a bunch of kids. That's what my life turned out to be. And so they kind of have that attitude. But still, these women still think that they are refining and polishing their spirit. And I'll give them credit. They are going to be a lot stronger than a lot of women. Heck yeah. But again, and most importantly, you do not have to do that to have that same strength. I know what I've been through and the strength that I have, and I don't need to put myself through that, and no one does.
Right.
But it's interesting to take a look at the different families and see. But again, if at the end of the day they're consenting to it with all the information,